Good evening. How are you guys doing tonight? Oh, it is cold outside in Indiana. It's 19 degrees, and it was snowing like crazy earlier. But there's some snow left on the grass, but other than that, it's like the roads are dry and it's perfectly fine outside. Yeah. Winter in Indiana is so much fun. I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to talk about tonight, so this will be an interesting vlog because I have no idea where this is going to go. I don't really have a whole lot to talk about. I got up today and I did some stuff around the house, and then I went to my training appointment. I'm actually supposed to see him again on Thursday if it works out for both of our schedules, because he was sick last week. So, I had a really good training session, but he was like focused on me doing my squats right. And so he was like aligning my hips, and he was like, you're going to really hurt probably tomorrow. I'm just going to prepare you for that. I was like, oh, great. But I felt really motivated, and I had a good training session, and ate healthy today and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I had a good day. Had a really good day. And then I had some errands I had to run. And then I came home and I filmed a bunch of videos. I wanted to film a video on my review channel of something from Starbucks, but by the time that I got on my way there, it was like 7 o'clock, and I was like, it was kind of really dark. It's getting dark outside, and I thought, it's just not going to be great filming it in my car, and if by the time I take it home, and Alex was home watching TV, so I was like, just forget it, I'll do it tomorrow. And then there was actually a review of something that I wanted to do at night in my car because I think it'll show up better. It's like a cleaning thing, and I actually think it'll show up better at night. But I didn't bring it with me, so I'll have to do that tomorrow night and film it and put that up on Wednesday, I guess. So yeah, Wednesday my second Psychic Twins video goes up. They're putting theirs up, and I'm putting mine up as well that day. So I'm excited about that. It's the celebrity predictions one. And we talk about YouTubers and royal family and all kinds of stuff. Mainstream celebrities, a lot of mainstream celebrities. So I'm excited to put that up. And yeah, it was a good day today. Alex and I watched we caught up on Project Runway. We watched 3 episodes of Project Runway back to back. And which is a lot of TV for me. I have a hard time sitting there and watching that much TV back to back. But I did it, and it was nice kind of just hanging out with him and the dogs, and all the dogs were good today. PP was healthy, not coughing at all, and took his medicine. He's good about his medicine. He's just kind of used to it by now. We don't hide it in anything because he'll pick through it. And so we just have to, like, you know, put it in his mouth, and then he swallows it. He doesn't, you know, it's not his favorite thing, but it's what the vet told us to do, so. And then he always gets a treat afterwards, so. He's very good about it. He knows he'll like put his little head up like he's ready for his, I'll say, you ready for your medicine? And he puts his little head up when I put him on the kitchen counter. He's so sweet. So anyway, yeah, that was pretty much my day. And then Alex wanted to finish watching, I can't remember what he was watching, one of those Marvel shows, one of those paranormal shows. He is so into all of that. And so I laid down for an hour early, and I got up and I was working on the computer and doing some stuff on the computer, and our electricity went out. And then it came back on like 5 minutes later, and then it went out for like good. And I looked out the window, and like all of our neighbors, their electricity was out as well. And I was like, what is going on? And it used to happen quite a bit in our neighborhood. It hasn't happened in a while. And it usually happens more in the summer, like with like thunderstorms and stuff, than it ever does like in the winter. It has happened a couple times in the winter, but usually it's when like we have like ice, you know, and the ice will like, you know, whatever, it's just bad outside. So, But it woke Alex up, because at that point he kept going to bed, and it woke him up because the fan turned off. And he's like, did the electricity go off? And I said, yeah. And he was like, can you unplug the TV so it's not like a power outage on the TV? I was like, yeah. Or a power surge on the TV? I was like, yeah. And then I left, and when I was driving through the neighborhood, literally, like, our entire neighborhood, like, our neighborhood, the surrounding neighborhood, everywhere around us was, like, blacked out. And so I drove down the street, and I did, like, a circle. When I came back, and I passed, like, the trucks working on something to do it was in the ground. They were in the, like, I can't imagine having to work outside in the cold in the ground. I think that would be so horrible. But they were working, it looked like the lines or something, I don't know. And then when I came back around, like less than 5 minutes later, all the electricity was back on. So did you guys ever see that movie back in the day, Hotel New Hampshire? It was a John Irving book that they turned into a movie. It was a great movie. Very bizarre. All his books are kind of bizarre. Like, what was that one book that my dad and my mom both loved the movie? The World According to Garp with Robin Williams. And then I read years ago A Prayer for Owen Meany, and they remade it into a movie with Sharon Stone. And it actually, like, the movie sucked, I thought, but the book was fantastic. If you are into it's a very long book. If you like long books, you should check out A Prayer for Owen Meany by John Irving. I wonder what happened to him. Does he still write books? Is he still alive? I don't even know. But he used to always write these massive books. So anyway, but there's a scene in the Hotel New Hampshire. It's about this family, and they own this hotel. And they... like, the electricity goes out, and so they go around the hotel or the house or whatever, and they turn on all the electricity, like everything that has electricity on it, so that when the electricity comes back on, it'll just be like this huge, like, power. It's like this funny scene in the movie. But anyway, we didn't do that, obviously, because Alex doesn't want to be woken up. He can sleep without a fan. I can't sleep without a fan. I have to have a fan to sleep. So as soon as the electricity goes out, I always start worrying about that. I'm like, oh God, like, I can't sleep. This is going to be how... And then I started thinking about, well, like, what about the heat? Because it's cold outside. But it usually takes quite a while for us to lose, like, a lot of heat, you know, in our house. Like, it's not just something that, like, our heat goes from, you know, I think we keep it at, like, 69 or some 70, something like that. That it goes from that to, like, you know, 20 degrees in 10 minutes. Like, it would take, like, an entire day, probably, to go down. And even then, it doesn't go down that far. It never gets below about, like, the times that we've had the electricity go off for, like, a whole day before. Like, the last time was that ice storm when we had to stay at Melissa and Jason's. It got down to, like, 55, and it didn't get a whole lot below that, or 50, but it was still cold in the house. Now, the opposite is true. Like, if the electricity goes out in the summer, it gets really, really hot in our house. I don't know, except for in the basement, it's always, you know, like, the basement's so weird. It's, like, warm in the winter, and, like, why is that? The basements do that, but it's warm in the winter, and then it's cold in the summer, always. So, it's weird, isn't it? I'll tell you the other thing that's interesting is that when I was driving through the neighborhood, like, randomly there would be, like, one light post on, or one house that had lights. Like, out of, like, 20 houses, there'd be, like, one house that had lights on. And I'm like, why does that one house have lights on, you know? And I know that Indianapolis is on a grid, so it's interesting, like, you know, with the light like that and things, but anyway. But listening to my audio book a lot today, I think I'm gonna have to put On the Come Up, though, on pause and start listening to In Cold Blood, because if I don't, I won't have it done in time for the book club live stream on Sunday. Which I was just thinking about this. I have a lot of stuff on Sunday. Sunday is, well, we always do brunch, and then I have the book club live stream, and then the Oscars. And usually I watch the Oscars with Tanya, but I think, like, Melissa and I were talking about this. I don't know if it was last year I asked Tanya, she was a really good sport for like a lot of years. Like Tanya does not, she watches award shows, but she doesn't mind recording them and watching them like the next day. And it was always such a big deal with me watching them with my mom that, like, I mean, from the earliest memory, I can remember watching the Academy Awards with my mom, even when I didn't understand what the Academy Awards were, you know? I grew up, like, and I think that's why it would always be like, when people are like, you know, if you could, any accomplishment, I'm like, oh, I would love to win an Oscar, you know? Like, I mean, I just always think about that, you know, like with my mom and like watching with her and how glamorous it was. And in fact, in some ways, I feel like it's kind of lost some of its glamour in the last 5 to 10 years. I don't know, but a little bit. But after my mom passed away, because I would always watch them with my mom, and she would get like, you know, different kinds of cheese and really kind of fun, fancy cheeses. And then she would make like, you know, a pot of coffee and, you know, lemonade. And it just like made this whole ordeal out of it. And I would go over there and I would watch the Academy Awards with her, and it was fun. I mean, we would talk the whole time back and forth, and, you know, like, she would always say, shh. She'd always shush. Like sometimes my boyfriends, whoever I was dating, would come, or she would invite, you know, some people over. My aunt and uncle, actually, one year, this was really sweet. My mom, like, she was kind of cheap with some things, and so she had this smaller TV that she just had for years and years and years and years, and with like antennas, because she never, like, you know, the TV antennas, because she never had cable. And I can't remember how long ago this was. I mean, now everybody has some kind of something, right? But my mom, my aunt and uncle bought her a new TV and got her cable so she could get like a clear signal right before the Academy Awards, because they knew how much she loved it, and they got that for her for a year. So like the cable for a year, and then they got her the new TV, which was such a great gift. My mom was so excited about that. So, you know, we just like and she would always say, you have to dress up as your favorite star. And then she would always wear this silver sweater set with a name tag that said Sharon Stone on it. She loves Sharon Stone. I don't know why. But, but we would sit there and watch it. You know, if anybody talked in the room besides my mom, you know, she'd shh, but she could always talk through the whole thing, right? And, I remember the hardest part was always watching like the in memoriam part, you know, where they talk about all the people that have passed away the year before. And that first year that my mom died, that following year, I don't think I watched the Oscars. Like, I just couldn't. There were a lot of things that it took me a couple years to go to. Like, the state fair was something that my mom and I always did together, and I just really, really struggled going to the state fair. And I think that, like, because Tanya was, even though she wasn't super close with my mom, she knew my mom, and, you know, she would go over to her house and stuff with me, and especially when she was sick, she would. But, like, she would go to the hospital and whatever, but, I mean, she didn't know my mom, you know. She knew, I mean, my mom knew that she was my best friend, and so she would come over to things and family things and whatever. And so I think that, like, to some degree, Tanya was like my tie to my past with my mom. And so whatever I would go to, whether it would be like the state fair, if like Alex and I would go, like Tanya would go, like that was like the first couple years, because I just really had a hard time with it. And I don't remember watching the Academy Awards. I do remember one year I was like, I'm not gonna let this continue. Like, I can't let this stop me from enjoying things I really enjoy. And that was the year that I, like, Thursday and Friday, I like scheduled out from doing anything, and I went and saw like every movie that was nominated for the Academy Awards that year. And it was so much fun. And that was the year that Argo and Les Miserables, I'm mispronouncing that, I don't know. People always say I mispronounce it. And Lincoln, was that the name of it? Anyway, The Impossible, that was one of my favorite movies that year. Django Unchained, all those movies were nominated for Oscars. That was the year. And I went and saw every movie, like literally every movie. If it was nominated for, like, I mean, out of like Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Supporting Actor, I think I saw all the animated films that year, maybe. But I tried to see everything that was like, you know, major film. I kind of wish I had done that this year. Do you know what I really, really want to see? I want to see the movie. If you guys have been in the movie theater lately, you'll know what I'm talking about. But if not, look up the trailer. I have no clue what even the name of the movie is. But it is the, I should look up and see when Argo and that movie, like when that won. Because that'd be interesting to see if that was the year after or 2 years after. Because if it was 2 years after my mom passed away, then I did take a year off from watching the Oscars. I just really remember being upset about it and having like a hard time like even getting excited about the Oscars. But then after that, Tanya, this is what I was gonna say, like I would go over to her house and she would make like, you know, a plate of cheese and popcorn and cut fruit and, you know, all this kind of stuff. We didn't get dressed up like anybody or anything. It was just Tanya and I, and her husband would be in the background doing something, but we would watch it and we get excited about it because Tanya loves movies too, you know, and it was nice. And we did that like several years in a row. I feel like that happened later though, because Alex and I went to an Oscar party like 2 years. Alex could care less about award shows. He doesn't enjoy them. But he'd go to a party for them, you know. But we did that 1 year. I just can't remember all the things that I don't know. Maybe 1 year, a couple years, I recorded them and didn't even end up watching them back. They just didn't mean as much to me, you know. After my mom passed away, they just didn't have as special of a meaning to me. I don't really know why. I mean, maybe if I went and I watched all of the movies again. I know people are going to hate when I say this, but I really want Glenn Close to win this year. I was so impressed with her performance in The Wife. I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. But, I mean, I haven't. And I saw Melissa McCarthy. Is that her name? Yeah, Melissa McCarthy. I thought she was good. I didn't think she was deserving of an Oscar. I thought Lady Gaga was great. I thought Lady Gaga was deserving of an Oscar, but I thought Lady Gaga was very much Lady Gaga. So, and I love Lady Gaga, so please do not come for me in the comment sections. But, like, I just felt like it wasn't, to me, like, a huge stretch. Like, I wasn't, like, just blown away. But, like, when you've watched Glenn Close for 30 years, I mean, this was not a Glenn Close performance. This was, like, very different from something that she would normally do. And I thought she handled it with such, you know, I just thought she did it so well. Okay, let's see the movie. The year that Argo was nominated, because I know that we definitely saw that. Argo nominated. This is 2013. Okay. Oh, that can't be it. It doesn't look right. 2013 full list of nominations. Let's see. This will tell me. Yep. Amour, Argo, Beast of the Southern Wild. I did not see Amour. I think that was actually that was a foreign film, and it was about a couple. I did see that. Beast of the Southern Wild, I saw that. That was about Louisiana. Django Unchained, saw that. Les Miserables, saw that. Life of Pi, saw that. I actually loved Life of Pi. I thought that was really, really good. Did you guys see that? I never read the book. I think I started it and I really struggled getting through it. The book is supposed to be fantastic, but I love the movie too. Lincoln, saw that. Silver Linings Playbook. Oh my God. So Matthew Quick that wrote, I did not know Silver Linings Playbook was a book. And, so I found out later that Matthew Quick wrote Silver Linings Playbook, but I didn't like search it out. I was reading this book and it was called Sort of Like a Rock Star, and it was a young adult book, and kind of a young adult book, but anyway, it was about a teenager, but it was written kind of more of like adults, if that makes sense. But anyway, it was written by this guy named Matthew Quick. Well, when I was reading it, I was like physically reading it, I think. I can't remember, but I like read something about the author, and it said in there that he was the author of Silver Linings Playbook, and I didn't know, but that movie was so good, wasn't it? Oh my God, so good. That was the year Jennifer Lawrence won then, right? In Zero Dark 30. Oh, that movie was fantastic with Jessica Chastain. Best Director. Okay, let's see if there is any other. Best Actor. Oh, Joaquin Phoenix, The Master. Did I see that year? Denzel Washington, Flight. You know, that's one movie I never have seen. So I guess I didn't see everything. Naomi Watts for The Impossible. I went and saw that. That was fantastic. Did you guys like Argo? I didn't love. Oh, best documentary that year. What is going on? Seriously? Best documentary that year was How to Survive a Plague. Have you guys seen that? Okay, I don't know if it's still on Netflix. Let me look it up and see. But if you guys have not seen it, it is really, really good. It's about AIDS in the 80s and ACT UP and the gay men's health crisis in New York City. How to... It used to be on Netflix. Survive. It's not on here anymore. But it sure does pull up Dallas Buyers Club. Isn't that interesting? A plague. Nope. It pulls up Fire Festival. This is so weird what it pulls up. Fire Festival, Dallas Buyers Club, Russian Doll, the 80s, Ted Bundy tapes, Versace. You know what? I have not seen this season of Grace and Frankie. I need to start watching that. But anyway, so 2013 would have been the year that I did that. So my mom died in 2008. So 2009 would have been the first year that I would have watched the Oscars. 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that would have been the 5th year that I did it. Okay, so 1 or 2 years I just didn't watch the Oscars at all. I bet that was 09 and 010. And then Alex and I went to 2 Oscar parties that were associated with our website. 1 year we hosted one and 1 year we went to one. So I bet that was 11 and 12. And then 13 is when I watched those. And maybe I watched that year with Tanya. I don't remember. It's so weird how quick time goes by. Really goes by so fast. I can't believe we're almost at the beginning of March. But we are. When you go by fast food restaurants and places like that, and you see like the smoke coming out of the top, when I was a little kid, I used to think that they had chimneys on those places. Like the bank has one and all this kind of stuff. Dream. When I was in 4th grade, the only reason I know this is because I know it was 4th grade is because it was the 4th grade trip. When I was in 4th grade, we went to this area called Rockville, Indiana. And it is the home of the Covered Bridge Festival in Indiana. And I remember you could bring like $5 and buy something, right? Or something like that. And I remember I was so excited, and we took the school bus out there, and I remember we ate at these picnic tables, and we had like, you know, they brought our lunch for us, and it was like, you know, handmade like turkey sandwiches, and it was like, I loved field trips back in the day. But I always remember being very lonely on field trips because I didn't really have any friends, so I would always be by myself. But I remember like walking around and we would have to like walk with groups of people and a teacher or like, you know, chaperone from like place to place. And I remember I got that rock candy on a stick. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? And I remember it was like just very fallish going to this Covered Bridge Festival, and we saw all these covered bridges, and there were people dressed around like, you know, prairie time people and all this kind of stuff. And that was in 4th grade. Okay, oh, it's gonna stop. And I'm turning a corner, so I'm holding on to it so it doesn't, okay. But that was in 4th grade, right? So for 4th grade, what is that? 9, 10 years old, up until now, like the last couple of years, I wanted to go back to the Covered Bridge Festival in Rockville, Indiana, okay? It's always in the fall, like the early fall, I think. September, October, maybe. I've always wanted to go back to the Covered Bridge Festival. I don't know, there's something about it that I remembered, and I had like attached like a really positive memory to it. Do you guys ever do that? Like something that's just totally random, you attach some positive memory to it, you know? And, So I wanted to go back forever. Well, I think it was 2 years ago. Tanya goes with her friend every year. They go, like, every single year. And I'm always like, well, I want to go. And she's like, well, it's kind of our thing. We've done it for like 20 years. And, you know, I don't want to hurt her feelings by, like, you know, inviting you to, because she knows how close we are. And I'm like, that's cool. I get it. You know, whatever. Well, her friend canceled on her. It was like 2 years ago. I vlogged it. I actually put it, but maybe it was 3 years ago, and it was before I had a vlog, because I don't know, it's either on the vlog channel or it's on my main channel before I had a vlog. And so Tanya and I drove down there, and oh my god, we had so much fun. We didn't find really the covered bridges so much, but we had such a good time that day, and ate crap food from the concessions. And it's kind of like a big fair, like a big swap meet fair. I don't know if you guys have those where you're at, but like in Indiana, we have swap meets left and right, like county fair swap meets where you can buy all kinds of anything basically that comes in a leather belt, anything fringe, you know, hats, cigarette cases, belts, western belts, all that kind of stuff, leather jackets, can buy all that, all kinds of furniture. In Indiana, we have like, in northern Indiana, there's like huge populations of like Amish people. So like they always have like that set up, like Amish butter, Amish jam, you know, Amish furniture, things like that. And like, I think like Mennonite furniture and stuff like that too. So they always have that there. And then all just kinds of stuff. And Tanya loves to literally walk from like booth to booth to booth to booth. She's like, I do all my Christmas shopping down here. I'm like, okay. We had such a good time. That was so much fun. They went this year, and they got down there, and her friend said, like, they drove all the way down. It's like not close, okay? And you have to take like all these winding roads. I think we may have filmed part of that in because you're stuck in like traffic the whole way too. I think we may have filmed part of that for the vlog, because I can remember getting stuck in this traffic, and Tanya was like, I have to go to the bathroom so bad. And I was like, she's like, you're gonna end up having to pull over on the side of the road because I cannot wait any longer. I was like, oh no, Tanya, you can't do that. So anyway, but so she and her friend this year drove all the way down there. Did she talk about this on the vlog? I think she may have talked about this on the vlog. They drove all the way down there, and her friend got the dates wrong, and it was the wrong weekend, and so there was no festival that weekend, or no Covered Bridge festival that weekend. And Tanya was so pissed. I was like, what did you do? And she's like, well, we basically drove 2.5 hours to go have brunch. We went and had brunch somewhere. I was like, well, it's still fun. She's like, yeah, I would have not done that for 2.5 hours. But anyway. I love taking road trips. I haven't really taken a road trip in a while. I'll say that, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, just 2 weeks ago I went somewhere. Where was the last place that I went on a road trip? Alex and I used to go to Louisville, Kentucky a lot, and we would go out at the Connection down there. Or we would stay overnight. Like, for us to get away for a weekend, we would either go to Chicago or Louisville. And there was this hotel in Louisville. It's still there. It's called the 21C. It's a museum hotel. And there was an actual museum that's like built into the hotel. It's like they have like a huge gallery, but they actually have installation art as well. And so like it's just really cool stuff. Like they have this window that you can like look out of, and it like makes clouds go up. It's really cool. And the rooms all have like exposed brick walls and huge, they look like New York apartments. They're really cool. And so we've stayed there, and then they have a restaurant attached to it. I think it's called like Proof or something like that. I can't remember what the restaurant's called, but it's really nice. But that area of Louisville has literally nothing to do whatsoever where that's at. But we would go to like the Highlands, and they have like a lot of vintage stores over there. God, when was the last time we did that? Because I was a lot thinner, because I can remember I bought this vintage Dior polo shirt, and I got it for like $15. I still have it, and it's like reddish pink. It's very cool. It's like from the 70s. And I was so excited that I got it. And it was this place in the Highlands. I can't remember what it was called, but like their price tags were playing cards. And we had a friend of ours that owned a thrift store, not a thrift store, but like a consignment store here in Indianapolis. And his price tags were playing cards too. And I remember talking to the lady about that. That area of Louisville is so cute. It's just like store after store after store. So yeah, we did that, and we walked all through there, and we ate lunch there. There's a, oh, the last time that we went, we met some friends of ours. They were running a marathon down there on Saturday, and they stayed till Sunday, but they stayed at this different hotel than where we stayed. And they stayed at the Browning or the Brown or something like that. But we met up with them. This is a couple that was in our wedding, and they were in our wedding and we were in theirs. And we met up with them and had lunch at Garage Bar, I think is what it's called. Or is that the Las Vegas gay bar? Well, it's in this old, like, car garage, and it's really cute. And they have little pizzas and all kinds of stuff. It's kind of like fancier brunch food. It's a really fun place, though. They, like, I don't obviously drank, but I remember, but like, Alex and this couple's husband and wife, they like to drink like the, what is it, the IPAs, is that what it's called? Those fancy beers, yeah. So they had all different kinds of fancy beers there, and they were trying those and stuff. That was a fun day. We took pictures out front. Oh, I know what Alex and I did. My mom wanted to, like, she'd done it one time, and then she never went back to do it again. She went with one of her friends, and they went to all the antique shopping in Louisville, Kentucky. And my mother would say for years and years and years, she'd say, oh my God, Louisville, Kentucky has like amazing antique shopping. I'm not really big into antique shopping, but sometimes you kind of find some very cool stuff. And so Alex and I went to all these antique stores that were kind of around that area of where that restaurant was, because that restaurant wasn't in the Highlands. It was like on the way there. But we went to all these antique stores, and they were very cool, but we don't need more junk sitting around our house. So we did that, and then Chicago a couple times, but I can't remember the last time that we went to Louisville or Chicago. I think it's because we've taken longer trips, you know. We're going to Mexico, or Miami, and then Mexico. And then we're really trying to do San Diego for our birthdays or our anniversary to go visit my brother-in-law. That's happening this summer. At some point this summer, we're going to San Diego. We're the only, like, well, Carlos and Liliana haven't been out there either, but we're going out there. I was going to say we're the only ones that haven't been out there, but we're definitely going out there. So we're kind of trying to look at some places that we might like to stay out there. They work through the week anyway, so we want to kind of like get our own place, you know, just, you know, that has a pool and, you know, by the beach or whatever. And then, and that won't be a long trip. That'll probably be 4 or 5 days. But I'm excited about that. I've never been to San Diego, ever. And then I'm sure like late fall we might do some kind of trip. There's this hotel in Miami that I want to stay in so bad. It's called the One, and it's super expensive, but it's just such a gorgeous hotel. We went to the rooftop bar the last time that we were there and hung out, and we actually looked to see for going down there, because I got Jason real interested in it too, and he looked it up online. He was like, oh, I really want to stay here. I'm like, yeah, it's super expensive. And we looked online, it's like $800 a night for just like a basic room. We're like, that is ridiculous, no way. And Alex and I looked at like off season, and it's like you can get rooms for like not expensive at all. So I said, what we ought to do is we ought to just go down for like a 2 or 3 day weekend and stay there like this summer. Like maybe we'll do that for our birthday, and then because like that's off season for Miami, and then we'll do like a long weekend and then do San Diego for our anniversary if we can get good rates on that. That's actually not too expensive to go to San Diego in August. I thought it would be, but it's not. And then I don't know. I really want to go to Washington, D.C. I've, you know, never done it. And there's things I want to go see. Alex is interested in doing that too. So I really want to do that. And I don't know if this year's the year to do that or not. I also want to make it out to Colorado because my mom's friend Susie lives out there. that might be next winter, because she has a place we can go skiing. So I haven't skied in forever, and I would love to do that. And I don't think Alex has ever been skiing. And he loves Susie, and I keep on promising her that I'm going to come out there and visit. Plus, I have a friend in Denver, so. I really like to go to Seattle at some point, too. I've never been to Seattle, and I'd really like to do that. I have a friend that lives in Portland, Oregon. I've always really wanted to go there. Of course, I could do Las Vegas time and time again, but that city is expensive. It'll nickel and dime you. That's an expensive trip. I told Mel, my book club assistant, that I might pop in and see her for a weekend sometime this summer. There's a lot of things I want to do. I was talking to somebody today, one of the other trainers at my gym, and she was talking about how she went to Grand Cayman for her honeymoon. Well, I've been to Grand Cayman once. I went with my dad and my stepmom and my first boyfriend. It's one of my favorite places I've ever been in my entire life. It's absolutely gorgeous. And if you don't know anything about it or you've never been there, they have a beach called 7 Mile Beach. And I can remember literally we would just take walks every morning. And we walked down the beach, and there were literally dolphins 10 feet away, just jumping through the water. It was unbelievable. And that whole trip was just so amazing. I loved Grand Cayman. He and I would walk into town every night and just eat at these little Italian restaurants. It was so adorable. But when we went, I think we stayed at the Marriott that was way down, and their beach supposedly has been destroyed by hurricanes. And some of the hotels that are closer down is there's a Ritz-Carlton, but it's outlandish prices, right? So I was talking to her today, and she's like, oh, no. And I go, well, what did you do? And she goes, we got an Airbnb, and it was gorgeous, and it was fantastic. And it had a pool. It was she was telling us all about it. I was like, oh my God, that is such a great idea. I don't know why I never, to go to Miami or something. I actually think about Airbnb a lot. I really want to go to Miami for 6 weeks, an extended period of time. But Alex can't do that with work right now. So he's like, I'd love to, but unfortunately I can't. And so I'm always looking at Airbnbs for Miami or other places around here that we go to. I actually looked at one for Los Angeles and things like that when we went last time. But I never think about it going out of the country, And I was thinking about that today after I left there. I was like, that is such a great idea. I bet we could go to Grand Cayman and stay in an Airbnb, and it wouldn't be, super, super expensive. Or Aruba too, because Alex wants to go to Aruba. And so yeah. I don't know, we're going to have to check into that. We need to do more of that, because that really, Airbnbs are pretty cheap. And, you can get them that are pretty cheap, right? And then that, reduces your stay, and airfare, a lot of places now is not super expensive. And then you can, I just had this I was sitting here talking, I was like, how did I start this vlog off by saying, I don't know if I have anything to talk about tonight, and now I've talked for, I don't even know how long, 40 minutes or something. But anyway, almost 40 minutes. But anyway, I could just probably talk for 3 hours straight about absolutely nothing. But, what was I gonna say? I've lost my mind. But yeah, there was a couple that I used to follow on Instagram. I don't remember who they are. I'm kind of weirdly obsessed with not just gay couples on Instagram, either straight couples. I follow all these couples, and I just love watching couples travel together and sit by a Christmas tree together and stuff. I don't know, I just love couples. I love love, you know what I mean? So anyway, but they, there was this couple that they were actually a gay couple that would travel constantly. Every month they would take some 5-day trip somewhere, and they always went to these unreal places, right? And they always got an Airbnb. Always. And Tawny gets Airbnbs a lot too. I don't know. I've never done it. So have we ever done it? I don't know if we've ever done it. Oh, Alex did it in Nashville, and they got a really cute Airbnb. He and his friend Sarah, another friend of theirs. But I don't think I've ever done it. And so I think, like, anything that I've never done before, I'm always a little scared, you know what I mean? Like, because I don't know how that process is going to go, if that makes sense, which is so stupid, right? But, like, I think I could probably save a lot of money if we did that. I'm going to have to look into that and see. Now I'm going to be on the, no, pause. Now I'm going to be, my audiobook almost started playing again. I'm going to be on online looking at Airbnb stuff left and right, because I'm going to want to book somewhere. It's fun planning trips, and actually it's also nice when you pay for a majority of it first before you ever leave. Like, that feels good today, you know? Because we take all of that stuff into consideration. I'm just so completely weird about money, you know? I was actually talking to a friend of mine about that today, and I was saying, you know, it's like, I don't really ever, like, I don't need to be rich. I've never felt that way in my life. I just want to be able to be, like, secure and stable. And I haven't had a money talk on here in a long time. You know, I just want to be secure and stable and be able to live my life the way that I want to and go where I want to go and do what I want to do. You know, would I love to have a ton of nice things? Well, sure. I don't know who wouldn't, or, you know what I mean? Like, all this kind of stuff, but, like, I don't need it, and I have a really great life, and I have a lot of nice things that I feel very, very blessed. I have just enough. I don't need any more. I think, you know, there was this prayer that I was taught in early recovery by a friend of mine. I don't know where he got it or whatever, but it's helped me to want what I already have. And, you know, I'm a believer that, like, whenever you're, like, working towards something, you should be very grateful for what you already have, because it's probably what you wanted 10 years ago and didn't have. And that's very much my case. You know what I mean? Like, I can remember, like, going to school, getting my master's degree, working 40 to 50 hours a week, you know, and being like, God, I can't wait till the day that I'm out of school. And then I'm out of school, right? I'm complaining about, now I'm working, I have this, and I always had this. And I can remember back then, you know, working, you know, that and, you know, all kinds of stuff, and thinking to myself, working 70 to 80 hours a week, God, I can't wait till the day that I can kind of, like, semi-retire. And, you know, I worked towards that, and I saved money, and I, you know, paid off debt, and had a reasonable fixed income for when I got older, what that would look like, and started thinking about other sources of income that would make their own income, you know, online and things like that, not YouTube. I know people think that's it, but that's not it. You know, and it worked. And then, like, you know, I read a lot of books. From people that said, you know, like, if you want to be retired by this age, or if you want to do this, and I just did what I just trusted the journey and did what they said. And, you know, interestingly enough, it turned out okay. And that's not to say by any means that I'm, you know, wealthy beyond belief, because I'm just not, but I'm just okay. You know what I mean? Like, I can pay my bills, I can enjoy traveling, I can enjoy going out to dinner with my husband, and, you know, and I'm not driving a G-Wagon, and I'm totally fine with that, you know, but I have a beautiful car, you know, and I'm not stressed out by debt and stuff like that, you know. And I think, I don't know, there's a lot to be said about not having to worry a lot about money. And weirdly enough, when I was working towards, like, paying off the debt and doing all that kind of stuff, I mean, it was something that Alex, you know, and I worked very, very hard towards. And it was kind of fun. Like, some of that was kind of fun, you know, in saying, okay, we're going to take one date night this week, and where are we going to go? Okay, we're going to do Applebee's 2 for $20 this week. Okay, next week, well, we already did that, so let's go here. We've got a coupon for this place, and, you know, and, like, budgeting out our money for this and for that and whatever. And I don't know. Alex still struggles with it sometimes, because, like, today he was like, I just wish I had more money. There's all these clothes I want. There's all these hot clothes. I said, you have so many hot clothes. And he was like, I know, but there's always things I want. And, you know, something changed in me around all that. I don't know what it was. I was very similar to that back in the day. Like, I just was shop, 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 right? But I'm not like that anymore. I was very much like that back in the day. You know what I actually think of? Oh, no. I actually think I'm going to go in here to the Speedway, and I'm going to get a bottle of water. But yeah, I used to be like that back in the day. Like, there were always things I want. There are things I want right now, and I'm actually probably going to get them. I want to get this gold medallion coin necklace, so I'm probably going to do that. I don't know why I just clapped. But only if I have the money. I have to go look at my, you know... I have, like, it budgeted out, like, what I can spend on extras. I know, but I do that, right? And so... I haven't really spent on anything lately. And then I saw a pair of these Puma high tops that I want at Nordstrom Rack, and they were on sale. They were like $2.99 marked down to like $88. I was like, I want these so bad. So I might get those. And there was something else that I want. But you know, the reality is I'll probably talk myself out of it in the next 2 or 3 days. I'll be like, you don't really need this, because I don't really need it. And I think that's the thing, is like, you know, when I started going like to Walmart or Meijer with Tanya at the time that, you know, like I was really budgeting money and really watching what I was spending and all that kind of stuff, because really dollars, you know, pennies make dollars and dollars make, you know, checks and all this kind of stuff, or whatever the saying is. And I would, like, I you know, I would look at the fact that I was going to Walmart 3 times a week, and I was buying, you know, I would go in and I would have a list, okay, and I would have like deodorant and chapstick and I don't know, like a bottle of water, and it would be like, you know, I would know that would be about $6 or $7, right? But I would leave like $60 to $80 poor. Well, when you look at that, like, over 3 days a week, or, you know, whatever, 2 days a week, that's $100 to $150 that I was spending on shit that I did not need, right? Candle waxes and this and that. If you've seen my candle waxes, you know I have enough candle waxes, and I haven't bought any in forever. And, you know, just realizing that there's a lot of things I don't need. Like, I've really toned it down with books this year, because, well, not so much Audible, but with physical copy books, because I have so many physical copy books, and yet I still have bought some. Like, I bought a bunch of graphic novels, and there's a couple books that I bought, but nothing like I used to do back in the day. Because when you start adding that stuff up, it starts adding together. And one of the things that I did, and I will tell you this, is it's not just about not spending the money. And I know this is going to sound strange, but like, let's say if you're used to going to Walmart, right? And you're used to like spending, and let's just say it's one of those days and you're like, I just want to go to Walmart and I want to blow a bunch of money, and I have the money to blow, so I'm going to go. Take that $50 that you were going to spend. I don't know, if you usually spend $60, take $10 and go blow it at Walmart on something that you want, right? But then take the $50 and go put it in a savings account, because if you have the money to go blow it at Walmart, you have the money to put it in a savings account. And that was the way that I had to start thinking, and it really, really drastically changed things for me. It's going to stop. I'm going to get my bottle of water and I'll be back. And we're back. I was just reading, or I was just looking on YouTube, because I was like, I haven't seen a Nick and Poncho video come up in a while. I was like, well, maybe I got unsubscribed, because you know how that is. Do you guys get unsubscribed? I get unsubscribed to channels all the time. And I love when YouTube is like, oh, we don't do that. And I'm like, well, it happens to me all the time. So I know I'm not stupid, okay? I know that it happens. Are you calling me a liar? Anyway, but I went and looked, and they haven't posted a video in 3 months. And I was like, oh, I hope Poncho's okay, Ponchino. That is my favorite channel of life, Nick and Poncho. Nick and his little Chihuahua Ponchino. But anyway, and then I was reading some of the comments from last night. We're not going to talk about money anymore. I know you guys get so bored of the money conversation, but is it my phone? No. I know you get so bored of the money conversation, but anyway, I was reading some of the comments. Thank you guys for all of the recommendations for like videos to watch and YouTubers that are plant-based and books and things like that. Somebody recommended a book to me. A couple people recommended books, and when I go home I'll write them all down. But somebody recommended it, and then Elle Leary commented on it. She had read it too. That's called the The Medical Medium is maybe what it's called, something like that. Anyway, I'm gonna write it down when I get home. But I do think that if like I read more books like that, it'll help me get a little bit more motivated for all of that. So it is what it is. But thank you for all your comments on there. I think talking about it sometimes, like, you know, and trying to get motivated to do those things. But I also you know, this is like one thing that I didn't say last night, that sometimes there's a danger in getting comfortable in your own skin. Because, like, for example, me saying that, you know, yes, I want to lose the weight, but it's more superficial. But at this point, like, I'm pretty okay as well, like most days. But that's dangerous at some point too, because, like, the reality is, you know, like, even though it's healthy for me today, like, I don't have any huge health concerns, I might 5 or 10 years down the road, right? So I would rather be as healthy as I possibly could be, you know. I don't know. So anyway, I don't feel like doing another vlog tonight about that. You know what's so funny? I was thinking about this when I walked in there, because they had Krispy Kreme donuts in there. And back in the day, I would get donuts at this one gas station. Like, it's actually, if I go the other way, I came this, you guys don't know the difference, but I came this way tonight. And tonight I drove from, like, into Fishers, back around, and now I'm going into Zionsville. So anyway, but there's this one gas station out in the middle of nowhere, and they had these donuts that were from, like, this local bakery that were so good. They were absolutely so delicious. And I would get them, and like, I would pull into the gas station late at night, like after I had been vlogging or whatever, and I would get like 2 of them with an orange juice and sit there just in my car and eat them. It's so healthy, isn't it? And when I was in there last night or the night before, I noticed that they had gotten rid of the case they used to have, and it was a brand new case. And so I was talking to the girl, I was like, oh, did you, and I looked in there, and it was Krispy Kreme donuts. And I said, did you guys get rid of those donuts that you used to have? Those were my favorites from that local, I don't remember what the bakery was called, but it was from some small town. And I mean, I would be sitting there some nights, and the van would pull up, and, like, the guy would take in the donuts, right? And she was like, oh yeah, we got rid of them. And I was like, why? And she was like, well, I don't know, but we just got rid of that contract, and everybody's going with Krispy Kremes anyway. Now, I have to just tell you, okay, as a donut connoisseur, which I would think that I probably am at this point in my life, I've had enough donuts in my life. Do you know what donuts are kind of sometimes my favorites? And I haven't had them in forever, but I used to love them. Are those frozen donuts that you, like, put in the microwave. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Oh my God, they were so good back in the day, but they were so expensive. I would always want them, and my mom would say, those glazed donuts that you put in the microwave, but they were so expensive. Anyway, do you guys remember Steakums? Oh my God, Steakums I always wanted. My mom would get so mad. She'd say, Steakums are so expensive, and they don't taste very good. And I'd be like, oh Mom, please, I want Steakums. I always wanted whatever was different. But anyway, if you don't know what Steakums are, just be thankful. So anyway, but, like, I mean, I've had a lot of donuts, and these were probably some of the best donuts I have ever had. And they have these cinnamon rolls that were frosted, and they were so good. I mean, they were, like, some of the best cinnamon rolls I'd ever had in my entire life. They were kind of a mix between a donut and a cinnamon roll. But anyway, so I said, did you guys get rid of those donuts? Like, you don't have any more? You have Krispy Kremes? And she's like, she was very serious, and she goes, don't ever eat a gas station donut unless it's a Krispy Kreme. And I said, okay. I go, why? And she goes, just don't, trust me on it. She goes, because Krispy Kremes, which I have seen sit in those containers for days on end before. She goes, because Krispy Kreme, she goes, we get rid of and they bring new batches all the time. She goes, but like that other place, she's like, they would sit out there for a whole day. I don't mind a day-old donut, okay? That needs to be on a t-shirt for merch, doesn't it? I don't mind a day-old donut. But I don't. Like, I don't mind a donut that's been, you know, sitting there. I really don't, okay? Like, hey, I don't know, come for me, but I just don't. So anyway, but she's like, you just don't know how long they've been there. I said to her, I said, well, most of the time that I came in here and got them, I would see the guy bring them in. Like, I knew how long they had been here because I saw him bring them in. She'd say, I'm just telling you, don't ever eat a gas station donut unless they're Krispy Kremes because you can't trust them. And I thought that was so weird because, like, how do you know how long the Krispy Kreme donuts are sitting there? I'm not a huge Krispy Kreme fan. I will tell you that their blueberry crullers, though, that come in the bags from the grocery store, crullers, however you pronounce it, if you put them in the microwave for like 20 seconds, oh my God, will set you free. They are so good. Those little mini crullers, is that what they're called? Crullers. Do you know what I'm talking about? The blueberry ones, okay? Put 4 on a plate, get a cold glass of water, put 4 on a plate, heat them up in the microwave for 20 seconds, and they are like, literally, you will die and think you walked into heaven. Now, a piece of lettuce and a celery stick is just as good too, in case you're one of those people that come here and say, you're making me hungry and want to eat food and I'm trying to diet. Well, go have a celery stick. That's good. It's real good for you. It's funny because somebody on there was talking about being like, they had like, were drinking, and this was in the comment section, so I don't know who you are, I'm sorry, but you said something about like being a vegetarian and then, or being vegan, then a vegetarian, then pescatarian, which I can never be a pescatarian because I don't eat fish. But anyway, if I was going to be some kind of meat person and just had to pick one kind of meat, I'd be a porkatarian because I like sausage and bacon. That's really the only thing I miss. And honestly, like Morningstar, and I haven't been eating that Morningstar stuff in quite some time, but that Morningstar stuff is really just as good as their original, you know? It sometimes is kind of baffling to me that I haven't had meat in so long. It really is. But anyway, I don't miss it. Like, I really don't miss it. And I don't feel any worse by not eating. People are always like, well, you're probably not getting the amount of iron that you need. I am, I guess, because I don't know, I feel good. I mean, I could feel better if I wasn't eating such a shit all the time, but, you know, we talked about that last night. So anyway, but she said in there that she does like a celery juice every day or once a week or something, I don't know, and it really helps her. So I did the Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. If you've ever seen that documentary, it's a great documentary. But I did that juicing thing. He has a juice in there called the Mean Green. I did it for a while. Well, I did it off and on for a long time. Or just would like do a juice a day, but like with other things, eating other things. I talked about that last night before I started the raw foods diet. I strictly stuck to it. I can't remember. It was like 3 or 4 days. I don't know how long I ended up doing it for, but I was like, this is straight up hell. Like, I don't know how people just live on juice. And then all these people were like, oh, well, you're not supposed to do that. And I'm like, well, he did in the movie. He lived off of it. That's how he, like, lost all this weight and got rid of... I mean, it wasn't just about the fact that he lost a lot of weight. It was about the fact that he was on, like, 9 kinds of medications and had all these medical diagnoses, and he just started juicing, and he, like... And his juice was, like, a mixture of, like, kale and ginger root and apples, and I'm trying to think of what else was in that. Lemon... What else was it? It was like 2 apples, a bunch of kale, a ginger root. I still have the recipe on my phone because I used to make it like every day. Lemon juice, lemons I think were in there. I don't remember, but anyway, it was called the Mean Green. And you were supposed to drink like so much of it a day. And it was supposed to like take away migraines. It was supposed to like turn your medical conditions around. And after he had done it for like so long, like 6 months or 9 months or something, like he went back to the doctor and like half of his diagnoses were gone. And like he didn't need to be on all this medicine anymore and stuff like that. I mean, that's pretty powerful, you know, when you think about it. Like that's pretty incredible. I mean, at least to me, I think that's pretty incredible, you know, that just from like how we eat or what we eat, that it completely turns that around. I've had friends of mine that have gone to these nutritional doctors, you know what I'm talking about, and they like do a full checkup on, you know, like somebody mentioned that like a diet's based on blood types in the comment sections, and but anyway, somebody I've had a couple of friends of mine that went to these, I think Tanya did it actually at one point, that went to these doctors that are like, you know, this is all they do is like come up with nutritional plans for people based on their body types and their blood types and things like that. And every time one of my friends goes to one of these people, and they're extremely expensive, extremely expensive, and they go and they'll tell them like what vitamins they're deficient in and like what they need to be doing and how much they need, and literally how much they need to be working out, what they need to be eating. They come up with these meal plans for them. Every friend of mine that has done this has lost like a massive amount of weight and gotten like super healthy within like 6 months. But like, it's so expensive. It's like $5,000 to go do this stuff. But I mean, I guess you're investing in your life, right? If you have to look at it that way. The other thing I will tell you that I'm a huge advocate of is drinking tons and tons and tons of water. Like my husband always has. I mean, he is just like really all he drinks is water, unless he's like, you know, he's been getting coffee lately when we go to brunch. And of course, like, you know, he'll drink wine or, you know, have like a couple drinks or cocktail or something every once in a blue moon. But like he's not a big soda drinker. Like a Coke every once in a while. You know, something like that. But I'm laughing because I think the last time, I think I may have even talked about it on here, but like the last time that he got a Coke, it was because he was a little hungover, and he like had been drinking some, I think it was like some red wine the night before or something. Okay, don't tip. I got him too close to it. But yeah, he hardly ever drinks soda. His family is like really weird about that. Like the kids don't drink soda. The kids hardly eat any candy. Liliana is really weird about candy with the kids. Like, you know what they're really into is those, oh shoot, my brother-in-law was just talking about it on Twitter. Those clementines, those little like oranges, are those called clementines? Like my nephews love those. Like you could offer them literally like, one time I was like giving them some Laffy Taffy and Carlitos was like, no, he wanted like one of those little clementine things. What are they called? You know what I'm talking about? Those little oranges? Kids love them. But they love like fruits and vegetables. They like that. They prefer that over candy. Now my husband is quite the candy person. He loves candy. He was sitting digging into his bag of Sour Patch Kids tonight. And, yeah, he doesn't like chocolate, though. Like, he likes chocolate chip cookies, but he doesn't like chocolate. Like, and every once in a while, my aunt used to, like, for Christmas, she got this incredible chocolate cake every year. She'd always be like, Peter, I got your incredible chocolate cake that everybody loves, and Alex really liked that. It was like chocolate cake with chocolate frosting and extra chocolate frosting. It was delicious. And it was so good with coffee. And, but like every once in a while he'll do that. Or like tiramisu, he likes something like that. But he's not like a chocolate, like he wouldn't eat like a chocolate bar. He hates M&Ms. There's some kind of M&M he likes. Because I was saying something to him tonight. And, because I had those M&Ms that I did the review on like 2 weeks ago in the closet. And I was like, what kind of M&Ms do you like? And he was like, you don't have them. And I go, how do you know? And he goes, because you don't have them anymore. I looked in the bag. And I go, well, I'm going to throw the bag out if you don't want them. Because I said, I don't want these M&Ms. I said, they're old and they're just sitting in here anyway. And he goes, yeah, I'll just get rid of them. And I was like, okay. I go, do you want to take them like to work? He was like, I'm going to take just a bag of like huge bag of M&Ms. I said, yeah. I said, I hardly ate any of those M&Ms in there. He was like, so I'm going to take a bag of all these open M&Ms. I said, forget it. I'll just give it to Tanya and she can take it to the kennel. The girls will love it. He goes, yeah, do that. I said, okay, I'm going to give it to Tanya for the kennel. Oh, man. Can't give shit away sometimes. You know what I mean? My Lord. I love this library so much. I love libraries, period. I love going to new libraries that I've never been to before. Dream. These houses are so pretty through here. They had a little, what do you call it? Cemetery, like wrought iron fence. My mom always wanted one of those in front of our house. That was like her dream. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Those like short little fences. She always wanted one of those. I have my meeting tomorrow night. I texted Tanya. I said, we're going to our meeting tomorrow night, right? And she was like, yeah. She was like, if you are. I said, yeah, I am. Duh. I mean, like. I don't know why I always come this way since the road is so horrible. You know, I don't even know who is up for Oscars this year. I'm going to pull in somewhere and see. don't even know what the movies are. I guess it doesn't really matter, but I would kind of like to see a couple of other movies before the Oscars. Those dresses are so pretty. Okay, do you guys watch Project Runway? If you watch Project Runway, can somebody explain to me why they kept that Django guy on there so long? I cannot believe they, like, the people they got rid of and kept him. I was like, I told Alex, like, on the last episode, and I'm sorry if I'm spoiling it for you, but I was like, he needed to go. He needed to go for 3 episodes, and that's no spoiler, okay? And I said, if they do not get rid of him this time, I said, I'm done watching the show. I said, I don't understand why they're keeping him. I said, he is not good. I said, his designs look like shit compared to everybody else who is heads and tails above him. And I said, I cannot continue to watch this while they kick somebody off that is really talented. And I'm not saying that he's not talented. Like, they showed his, like, tonight they showed, or the last episode that we watched, which was from this last week. I think it was that episode or the episode before. I don't know. They kind of all started floating into each other, but they showed his, like, collection. He was from, I think, Amsterdam is where he's from, maybe. And it was a beautiful collection, but that wasn't what he was putting out on the runway at Project Runway, you know? And I think there are some people, and he had actually won, I think, Project Runway in the Netherlands, because it's an all-star cast of all winners. And I think some people do very well with, like, in a time crunch, and other people can't do it. Like, you see that a lot on Project Runway. There are a lot of people that really struggle with, like, the creative process, like, in a time, you know, crunch. Like, I'm somebody that can work very fast within, like, time limits. Trust me, putting 4 videos up in a, you know, hour and a half time and things like that. But no, I mean, I've always been like that. I've always been like, I can always get a lot of stuff done in a, you know, short period of time and multitask and things like that. And you can see that people really, really struggle with it on there. And it's not to say anything about their talent. It's just to say that maybe their creative process takes a little bit longer than other people. Although he had already won 1 season, so I don't know. But that wasn't an all-star season, and I don't know who else was on that show because it was in the Netherlands and I didn't see it. But I just was never impressed with anything that he put out. He was so arrogant about how he always thought his stuff looked so much better, and throwing tantrums and things like that. And just walked out one episode and just was, like, so pissed. And he sent 2 people home that were really, really good. And I was like, I cannot believe this. Well, he didn't send him home, but it was him and... Do you ever get so tired of, like, reality TV? And then, you know, it's like... Oh, I know something I wanted to talk about. And then it's like... You know, you've been hearing a lot of this recently about how staged reality TV is, and that it's not just like, you know, it's not just a camera and they're following people around, which is, I mean, I knew it wasn't like that to begin with. And do you guys remember when The Hills came out and they said it was very scripted and whatever? But, like, even when I was talking to my friend Allie in LA, you know, I was like, how real is reality television? And she goes, it's not very real. And I said, well, what do you mean? She goes, well, it's real. She goes, but what would happen is, she goes, it might take 5 takes to film a fight. She's like, so if a fight happens, you have to kind of keep it going so that they can continue to get it, and then they edit it together. So, like, you know, they'll stop and like, because they have to get it, like, a perfect way, because it is a television show. And I said, really? And she's like, oh yeah. She's like, no, they didn't necessarily feed it to us, like, here, we want you guys to fight about this. But, you know, she would say, like, you know, there were on some shows that she did where they would say, okay, like, we want you to go in here, like, you're gonna go talk about this girl. And she was, I think it might have been, I can't remember, but she said that she felt like she walked in and they were preempted to kind of not like her, or like they were told not to like her or something like that, because she kind of got that vibe right from the beginning. And I've heard that from so many people that I know that have done reality television. They're like, yeah, it's just totally edited and whatever. Somebody asked me tonight, like, I haven't talked about the RuPaul's Drag Race thing because I don't want to spoil it for anybody if you haven't watched the finale yet, which was, to me, totally anticlimactic, like I said last night. But I will say this, that somebody in my comment section said, would you talk about, like, the cutthroat fandom of RuPaul's Drag Race? And, you know, I don't... so I don't follow many of the RuPaul's Drag Race girls. Like, I follow Alyssa Edwards, I follow Ginger Minge. I don't know who else I follow. Not a lot of them, honestly. As much as I love all of that, I just don't follow a whole lot of that. Because for me, like, I follow people on Twitter that tweet real shit, okay? Like, the reason, like, I love Dolly Parton, but I don't follow Dolly Parton because Dolly Parton tweets, like, releases of songs and tour dates. And I don't need all that, right? I want to see somebody tweet an actual tweet, if that makes sense. So, I don't follow a lot of those that are kind of like, and a lot of the drag queens, it's like, hey, I'll be at Mickey's in West Hollywood this weekend at, 8 p.m., come see me, or, hey, go check out my new song. It's not like that. Like, Ginger Minge and Alyssa Edwards, actually, Alyssa Edwards doesn't even, but I just love her, so I follow it. But I think she's done more. Who else do I follow? I feel like there's somebody else I follow. Well, Nina West, who's going to be on RuPaul's Drag Race next season, but I followed her for a long time. Who else? There's like one other one that I follow. So I don't see a lot of the cutthroat stuff that goes back and forth. If you watch it, Monet Exchange and Gia Gunn got into a huge argument on Twitter today. It was nasty. And basically Gia Gunn was coming for Monet Exchange's looks and saying that her looks were horrible, and and then Monet Exchange came for Gia Gunn and said she needed to get a new personality. It was just very ugly. And, I know it's throwing shade and all that kind of stuff, but it is a very, like, the thing is that when you have a fandom behind that, it's not just that, it's like, it's not just with, it's gonna stop, hold on. Like, it's not just with RuPaul's Drag Race. It's with anything. It's with YouTube. It's with any kind of celebrity that... I actually did this in my video. I talked about this in my video today with James Charles. It's like... Whenever you're talking about somebody, you're sending... If you're talking negatively about them, anybody who likes you... It's all a popularity contest, right? So anybody that likes you is going to go to that person or have hateful things to say about that person, And... So, the RuPaul's Drag Race fandoms, like, come for each other. It's horrible, right? But, it's interesting to me because... I don't know that my experience in my life, and I can only speak for myself, is that the gay community, which my husband really has a hard time with that word, okay? Gay community. Because he doesn't feel like there is one. But my experience has been that I haven't found the gay community to be the most accepting, loving place of ever. And I actually feel like it was better 20 plus years ago when I first came out than it is today. I feel like it's very segmented today. I feel it's very, like, cliquish. You're either this or you're that, or you fit into this, group, but not that group. And I think it's because there are so many people that are out now. Back in the day, it's like, when you were fighting for rights and fighting for your life and things like that, I think there was more of a need to stick together. I don't know. That's not to say that there weren't people that, that I didn't like or vice versa within, just local gay community. But I feel like overall, like, it's kind of like that thing, like, you don't like your sibling, but if you're out in public and somebody comes for your sibling, you got their back. Like, that's very much how it was, right? Like, I don't feel that anymore. I don't feel that brother sisterhood within the LGBTQ plus community. In some areas I do. In some areas I really, really do. But in other areas I don't. I think I don't blame it on it being a generational thing, but I do think that, you have to remember, I came out in 90, and I was already late to the game of people that had lost, I've lost a lot of friends to AIDS, and I've lost a few friends of mine to hate crimes and things like that, but, I came out at the tail end of that, and so like Stonewall and the AIDS crisis and all that kind of stuff, like I missed that by coming out in 90, okay, in June of 90. So you take that to 2019, what is that, 30 years later? And, you know, or 29 years later, and there's no way the younger generation could really fully know about that stuff. I think RuPaul's Drag Race on her show, like, I think she does a good job trying to educate that stuff. I think it would be great if we had more mainstream movies, like, you know, like Milk with about Harvey Milk. Like, I think if we had more movies that showed about that generation, and I think we, you know, they did a couple of them did, you know, Normal, that was that on HBO or whatever that was, or Normal Heart, is that what it was called? But anyway, I think Normal might have been the one about the trans husband that came out. That was actually a great movie too. I don't know that many of us really know our history to realize that we benefit better by being together instead of fighting one another, you know? And, I don't know, it's sad to me. But I have experienced moments of great camaraderie. You know, you should go to Pride Day at least once in your life, in your town, and just experience it. Because I think you'll see a different side. You'll see more rainbow flags than you ever wanted to see in your entire life. And I don't love rainbow flags. I can remember my mom back in the day, she used to say this thing. She'd say, well, what if I want a rainbow flag at my house? But then maybe it's just because I like rainbows. But then everybody will think that I'm a lesbian because I have a rainbow flag. But I just really like rainbows. And I'm like, well, then you should get a rainbow flag and not fucking worry about it, Mom, is what you should do, you know? And she'd be like, oh, you're probably right. Oh, I just turned my heat on. I like what the gay flag represents. I don't love the rainbow flag. It's just, I don't love rainbow anything, so. But, you know, Pride Day, once, you know, like, there's a lot of people that have issues with Pride Day, and they're like, it's half-naked guys running around, you know, and it's a lot of drinking and whatever. It is that. It is absolutely that, you know. That's a part of it. But it's also some amazing speeches. It's also gay organizations coming together to educate a community, you know. My dad, a couple years ago, he, I think it was like 2 or 3 years in a row, my dad worked the booth for his hospital at Pride Day. He volunteered to do it because he was, you know, my dad's so proud. And, you know, I think that, I don't know, I think we're so primed in society to look for the ugliness, not the positives, that, like, you know, I hear a lot of people that have a negative attitude about Pride Day. Pride Day makes me nervous, honestly. I just, it's a lot of people, and we used to go a lot. We don't go as much anymore because Spring Awakening, I think, is a music festival that Alex likes to go to in Chicago, and it always happens the weekend of Pride Day in Indianapolis, so we don't usually go. I've wanted to go to Pride Days in some other cities. Well, actually, I've been to Pride Day in Denver twice? Yeah. And, that's a lot of fun. Denver's is huge, but Indianapolis has one of the biggest Pride Day festivals or parades or something, I don't know, in the country. Did you know that? I didn't know that. They announced it the last time I was there. It's called Circle City Pride. But anyway, you should go just for one day. It's a beautiful experience, you know, and I think anything that we don't understand, I think we should attempt to educate ourselves on. I wish, I don't know, it's a different society, it's a different, you know, culture than when I, like, started going out and was in the gay community, you know, when I was 18 years old. And maybe that's because I was 18 years old, hell, I don't know. You know, but I feel like it was more like you'd walk in, you'd be like, oh, hi, how are you? Oh, hi, how are you? It wasn't as cliquey. I mean, it was, but it wasn't as cliquey as, like, I mean, first of all, I haven't been out to a gay bar, and we went to, what was that bar called? The Abbey in West Hollywood, and that was fun. people were real friendly. People were super friendly and coming up and talking to us and stuff like that. Especially that one dude, but it's different. You know, I think because people have grown up going out to those bars now, whereas to me, it was like, it wasn't just, I don't know, you know what, I don't know, so what their experience is. Maybe it's exactly similar to what mine was like at that point, but for me, it was like coming out and going out at the same time. It was like, literally like, you know, walking into Oz, kind of speaking, you know, so to speak, like I was making that reference the other day, but it was very much like that, you know, that like, it was this whole new world to me that I was exposed to, and like, it wasn't just about the fact that, you know, I had met this like first gay guy like the year before through some friends that my friend worked with, but like then it was like all of a sudden I was meeting all of these gay guys and drag queens and people that were trans and lesbians and bisexual people, and you know, we didn't have all of the binary stuff back then and the, you know, all the different pronouns that people went by, but you know, we had all of that, and it was like this whole new world to me, you know, and bars and after parties and art shows and art, I mean, my whole world just lit up, and it became this beautiful thing that I realized that I had a ticket inside to just because of who I was, you know, and who I was attracted to. And then when I realized that it really didn't have anything to do with any kind of sexual orientation, that there were straight people out there and married people out there and people with kids and all kinds of people living these lives. And what I realized was that I had lived this very secluded life, you know, and even though I had two parents that were very highly intellectual, bohemian, and artsy, you know, both my parents were, and I had lived this kind of very sheltered, I said secluded, but sheltered life, that I didn't really know all of that. And so I came into my own by coming out, and I made a lot of fantastic friends, and you know, and yeah, I just got exposed to a lot of really fun things, and you know, and was, I don't know, it just was a different world. You know, I talk a lot about drag pageants and stuff like that. I mean, I was like going to drag pageants all the time, and like, you know, meeting some of these incredible drag queens that were like celebrities within the gay community. And I think RuPaul's Drag Race has brought that back. I really do. Like, that's the one thing I'm so happy about with RuPaul's Drag Race. And you know, and I have to say, and if you're my age and you used to go out to drag bars and you were friends with drag queens, there was a real subculture of drugs and alcohol, drug addiction and alcoholism that went along with that. And I'm not saying that I know anything about the RuPaul's Drag Race girls, because I don't, but we don't see a lot of that. You know, like they don't show like the dressing rooms of like a bar upstairs, you know, like where it's one side it's the bathroom and the other side it's like a sheets hanging, you know, and there's just not that, you know. And I think it's a prettier version of what that whole scene really looks like, because that wasn't my experience, having friends that were drag queens and performing and stuff. But I don't know, I wish fandoms overall never had to fight. I wish we could get to a point where you can have your opinion and I can have my opinion, and if our opinions don't meet, well, we can have a discussion about it, and we may never meet on it, but then once we disagree, we can just walk away. But that's not the real world, you know. It never has been, and it never will be that. But I do believe that the fandoms with RuPaul's Drag Race are like extremely toxic and hurtful to each other, and I think it's sad, you know. I think especially there where it's people that are expressing who they are through their artistic creativity and taking risks in life to, you know, you look at like Latrice Royale and her like storyline, you know, of having gone to prison, and you know, some of these people that have like, you know, Roxy Andrews, which shared on the show that, you know, like, and her drag mother was my favorite drag queen of life, Erica Andrews, but for me, female impersonator, but she, you know, shared on the show that, like, you know, she was left at a bus stop with her, you know, sister, I think she said, and, you know, Alyssa Edwards, and her mother's passing. It's just, you hear all these stories, you know, these great tragedy, and I think that they live their lives creatively through their tragedies. It's cathartic for them, you know, and I don't think they would want any of their fandoms to fight. Okay, my battery died. Thank God I had my other battery tonight. I'm not going to vlog for a whole lot longer, but I did want to say this to finish that up and talking about that. You know, it's sad to me because I don't really think at their core that they would want any of their fandoms to fight. I just can't believe that they would, you know. And they always talk about, like, the sisterhood that they have, and even if they've had disagreements, that most of them have worked it out and stuff like that, you know? I don't know. it's sad to me that, I mean, not everybody's going to get along in life, right? Who knows? But, yeah. I've heard a lot about them all, like, fighting and things like that. I think they really, you know, have the power to show, like, forgiveness of one another and coming together and, you know, out of their shared adversity and things like that, because the majority of them haven't had the easiest lives, you know? And so I think to share that with the, you know, the world, instead of let's fight and let's come at each other, and, you know, and then the other thing is that, like, to nip it in the bud, like, when the fandoms come for one queen to say, I'm not okay with this, like, and I do think that's something that's happened that they don't do, because that's what I've heard as well, is that, like, you know, if, like, they said that Valentina's, like, fans were, like, really hardcore or something like that. So, like, if, you know, when she got kicked off, like, people were really upset about it and came for whoever the other queen was, which I don't remember, you know, but, like, I don't know. I think it's because you see a lot of intense people that have a lot of emotions and feelings about things, and they really relate to the story of that person, not just the character and the theatrics that they put on, but they relate to the story of that person. You know, they're so invested in them. I don't think it's a whole lot different than YouTube to some degree, you know? So, I don't know. I don't like really fighting, period. Not to say that, you know, I haven't engaged in that myself, because I have, but, you know, I've learned that I don't like how I feel inside about that. You know, I'd rather today choose peace and calm in my life, you know, and try to work things out. And if I can, that's great. And if I can't, then okay, like, let's just move past this and move on. I don't like how I feel when, you know, there's all of that around, you know, and I don't think many of us do. I really don't. So, yeah. It's funny because they kind of, like, allude to that in that movie, that, oh my God, you guys, you know what I didn't do? I didn't do my review of, I can't believe I forgot to do that. I didn't do my review today of my movie Monday, which I haven't done in months. My movie Monday review of Isn't It Romantic with Rebel Wilson. That was what I was going to do today. I can't believe I forgot that. Oh, wow. What was I talking about? I was talking about another movie earlier, and I was going to say something about it. Now I don't remember what I was going to say. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I think also, you know, like, when you look at all of that, like, with any person that's been, like, given a platform like that, and, like, those queens make a lot of money, you know, and they have, like, pretty exciting lives too. It's like, where's the gratitude in all of that? You know what I mean? Like, and I love it. I love following it. And, you know, I mean, the shade and the cattiness is all part of it, too. You know what I mean? Like, that's the other thing, that's, to some degree, part of that culture. It's not going to be this, like, ultra compassionate, oh, I love you so much. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it goes along with part of the culture. But I don't know that, you know, I mean, I was raised in a culture of shade. But I have to say, you know, I've learned over time that people don't understand shade the way today that, I mean, my friends back in the day, when I, like, first started coming out, my friends that were a little bit older than me, I mean, they'd shade me right to my face, you know, read me right to my face, and, you know, I mean, and just hilarious shit, you know, and, but I think we don't live in a world like that today, and I think many people, including myself at times, are hypersensitive to that stuff, and, you know, especially people that are fans of people, you know, like with the RuPaul's Drag Race queens and stuff, you know, it's like they're hypersensitive. You're not going to talk about my person that way or whatever, and they're real protective, you know, so, I don't know. Anyway. Oh my God, I know what I wanted to say about a movie. I was talking about this earlier. Did I say what the movie was? I don't know if I said what the movie was because I don't even know what the title of the movie is. But it's the movie, we saw the trailer for it. We went to go see that movie. Isn't It Romantic? And it's by the director, I think, or the writer or something of Slumdog Millionaire. And it's called, like, Yesterday. And it's about, like, there's a blackout all over the world. And, like, they, like, certain things, like, no longer exist. Like, the Beatles never existed. So this guy goes back and he, like, writes all of the Beatles songs, like, and says they're his like, they are his. And, so anyway, I think it's called Yesterday, maybe, but it looks so good. And Slumdog Millionaire was a movie that I absolutely loved. I can remember that was like another one that, like, I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited to watch because I had heard so many good things about it. I do this a lot with movies. People say, oh, it's fantastic, and then I wait and I wait and I wait, and then I go see it and I'm like, oh, it was fantastic, and then I'm that person that's talking about the movie, you know, nonstop. But with Slumdog Millionaire, like, I remember just sitting there and just being like, oh my God, this is so good. Lost was the same way. So many people told me to watch Lost. And I remember I went and we started it, like, somewhere in the middle, or the third season, maybe the second season, I don't know. But I went and I bought the entire first season, I think, or second season, I can't remember, but first season definitely. And we used to go by, so my ex and I, on weekends, we would watch series of television shows. We did, like, Project Runway, and we would do, like, America's Next Top Model. And you could buy, like, the whole DVD series of it. Today, we've got that stuff on Netflix, but back in the day, you could go to, like, Best Buy and you could buy them, or, you know, Walmart or whatever. So I would go there on, like, a Friday, and I would pick up, you know, some TV show that we could watch the whole series of, usually reality show stuff, and we would watch the whole season over a period of a weekend. What else did we watch? We tried to watch Heroes. I remember I couldn't get into that, and there were some other ones. But so we got Lost, and I remember we literally could not stop watching it that weekend. We were so obsessed with it, and I just thought it was such a fantastic show. And then you couldn't shut me up about Lost. I still, to this day, Lost is one of my favorite shows. That's how I get with TV shows. It's kind of why I haven't started Grace and Frankie yet, because I love Grace and Frankie so much that I know that when I start it, I'm going to be like, oh, I don't want to really stop it because I love Grace and Frankie so much. You know what I mean? Do you guys get like that with TV shows? It's weird to think that, like, even 5-10 years ago, we weren't this Netflix generation. I mean, I remember Netflix when you would get 2 DVDs in the mail a week. Do you remember that? And the last thing I ever ordered on Netflix was Saving Grace with Holly Hunter, which was equally one of my favorite TV shows. And I had the disc forever, and I finally returned it. And that was, like, the last thing that... And my uncle, until the day he died, would say, I still miss when you could get movies from Netflix. Like, and David, my cousin's son, would say, Poppy, you can, like, see anything you want to see on Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon Prime. And my uncle would be like, I know, but I kind of miss getting them in the mail, and you turn around and you send them back, because he would always get, like, all these old movies from back in the day, you know, that he loved. Like, he and my dad liked the same kind of movies, like the Clint Eastwood and movies, you know. And so my friend's brother met Clint Eastwood at the Super Bowl. She was really excited about that because she's a huge fan of Clint Eastwood. She posted a picture of them together on Facebook. I was like, I don't know why you did not go to the Super Bowl. I said, you're the one of your family that loves all the celebrities. And she's like, I know, I wish I had gone. But anyway, she's the one that took Tanya to go see Cher the other night. But yeah, so I want to see that movie really bad. I heard that movie was really good. It's always interesting to me when movies like that come out around Oscar time, because I'm like, these really great movies come out right around Oscar time, and, like, very rarely do movies that came out like a year ago are nominated for Oscars, right? Or am I wrong about that? Like, is there a movie from a year ago that's being nominated right now? Like, typically movies that come out in, like, March, April, and May are not movies that you think about with the Oscars, or am I wrong? I don't know. I feel like that there aren't a lot of movies, though, that... I just for a second forgot that I was driving my new car. I thought I was driving my old car. I don't know why. My steering wheel feels so completely different. I do love this new hat. I've gotten really kind of mixed opinions about it. Some people are like, I love the old one. Some people are like, I love this one. But I have to say that it kind of like itches my head a little bit. Like just right here. But I have this hat back here. Where is it? I have this hat right here, and it's doing the same thing. So I don't know, maybe it's my hairline. I'm getting my hair done on Thursday. I'm getting my hair cut. All right, well listen, I think I'm gonna get off now and finish my, well not finish it, but listen to a little bit more of my audiobook on my way home and go to bed so I can get up tomorrow and get a bunch of stuff done before I go to my meeting tomorrow night. And I hope you guys are having a fantastic Tuesday. If you haven't already heard this today and nobody else has told you, I love you. Have an amazing day, unless you have other plans. What else can I say that's motivational for the day? The grass is not always greener on the other side. Appreciate the grass you're standing on. Anyway, that's stupid. Anyway, I mean, not really, but it is kind of stupid. All right, you guys, I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. I hope you're having a great day. Bye.